You hear that?
We got it. We're good.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So Carmanah is the beautiful, beautiful woman here today that's going to help me out. Do you want to tell me a bit about yourself, Carmanah?
Yeah, for sure. My name's Carmanah. I'm born and raised in the Lower Mainland. I am 32 years old. I work a bunch of jobs. I work in hospitality, in event production, also a liquor rep during the day,
You're very
all over.
busy.
Yeah,
I forgot how busy you are. You are
yeah,
so productive, hey?
I can be
You can be.
until I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you so much for doing this interview with me. Could you please tell me why you were interested or why you volunteered to help me out with this interview?
For sure. Because Monica is lovely, so that's the biggest part. But also, like, there's so many people that experience trauma and don't know how to go about dealing with it.
Mhm.
And I know that when things got bad for me, I let it go too far. And if it wasn't for a couple of my close friends finally calling me on it,
Mhm.
um, it was a very bad, very quick downward spiral. And I've put in a lot of work. And I think that had I known what the early signs looked like, it probably wouldn't have been as much of a struggle because it could
Mhm.
have been something that started getting help a lot earlier.
Yeah. I think it's kind of rare to meet someone who hasn't experienced
For
some sort
sure.
of trauma, but we're not necessarily equipped with the tools
Yeah.
to recognize, like you said, like red flags or when it shows up or what to do with yourself or how to help others. So, yeah, absolutely. So, how would you describe yourself in 3 words?
Outgoing, compassionate, and fun loving.
That is exactly what I would say about you. Yeah. So, how would those that you love and respect describe you?
Loyal, loving, and supportive.
Hmm. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Sure. Yeah, so that's I asked a couple of my best friends and that was their answers. Um,
Hmm.
I am a very, very loyal, very fierce friend, and I will do anything for my friends. If
Hmm.
you treat me like garbage more than once, I do not forget that.
Hmm.
And, like I'm
Yeah.
very, if you screw me over, I'm very quick to be like, okay, we're done here. Bye. Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
A lot of
true.
self-respect in that
For
in that
sure.
way. Yeah.
Totally. But yeah, like I love my friends. My friends are my family. I will do anything for them. Um, and just like I don't like watching people suffer or struggle. So I will go out of my way to help others. Whether it's something like helping with homework or
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you.
like
Yeah, you're very
an ear
compassionate.
or a shoulder to cry on. I am here. Um, yeah.
Community important for you?
Yeah, oh, for sure. We
Yeah.
like you need community
Hmm.
if you want to exist.
Hmm.
Like even if you are an introvert, you still need community. That's what makes civilization work.
Yeah, yeah, I would say that. Would you say that you're like your friend circle or your support network, is it really tight knit and more so fewer, or would you say that it's pretty wide and spread out?
I have a handful of very, very close friends,
Hmm.
but I know everybody everywhere. Like, um,
Right.
I was just on the Sunshine Coast at an event and walked in and had two friends in the room out of 150 people. Like,
Wow.
just like I was like, oh, I didn't know you lived here. Hi. And that's the case everywhere I go. Like there's a lot of people that I know and like I'll call them friends, they're more acquaintances.
Hmm.
Um, but my close friends is a small, tight knit circle for sure.
Hmm. Okay, yeah. So quality versus
Yeah,
quantity, even though
exactly.
there is a huge amount of people that you do know.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
might be it's fun to have a beer with somebody at the bar, but not something
Hmm.
I'm going to call if I'm having a panic attack at 3 in the morning.
Yeah,
Like,
that's fair. Is do you because we're not going to necessarily go into what sort of trauma you have
For sure.
experienced in your life, but what have you used that has helped you to feel safe and grounded?
For sure. There's been a lot of therapy in my life, like
Okay.
several years of therapy. I I talk to my friends a lot. I'm very open about my experiences.
Hmm.
I've done a lot of reading, and honestly, the biggest difference I've noticed in the last 2 years, I'll say,
Hmm.
microdosing mushrooms is an amazing thing.
Oh, I'm so interested in that. It's
Like
it's a
that
whole world of
It
like,
really is. And I'm like just starting to dabble like the last few months,
mhm.
but it that was an instantaneous shift in my
Oh.
mood, my like just emotional stability, and my energy levels as well. Like if I am having a day where like I'm not feeling off, I'm feeling anxious,
Mhm.
I have a little microdose, and within 20 minutes, I'm like, okay, we're good. We're not nearly as overwhelmed. um,
Right. So it elevates your mood. How does
yeah.
it help you like deal with the rest of your day?
It's so I have a lot more energy. I am able to think more clearly and rationally. Like
Hmm.
it kind of stops brain fog, which is nice because I find personally when I'm having an anxious day, I just kind of exist in a haze. Like
Mm.
I'm on autopilot. Like I'm not really I'm present, but I'm not mentally present. So it helps with that a lot. And yeah, just like I am not nearly as hyper emotional. So like I'm not just like bursting into tears because of the slightest inconvenience.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's been a huge, huge shift in the last few
Mhm.
that I've noticed. And even my boyfriend, like the first or second day, he was like, this that's working. Like whatever that is, please keep doing that.
Oh, so how did you come to try that? Like what was the invitation to try microdosing?
I had so there's a couple. I get chronic migraines and have since I was 13. Like it's
Mm.
more than half of my life that I've been dealing with them. And migraine medication is a weird thing, but it messes you up really badly. Like you
Mm.
basically take the pills and you're comatose for 12 hours. So there have been several studies that have shown macrodosing mushrooms once or twice a year can have a like huge impact on the severity of migraines.
Mm.
So I talked to my doctor about it. He obviously couldn't condone it because it's not legal, but basically told me that he has also read those studies and let me know how it goes, or let him know how it
Right.
goes. Um, so that
He's
as
like,
far as
I'm interested, but not on paper.
yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly what. So I've done
Yeah.
that a couple of times. And then my friend was moving to Arizona for work. And she had just purchased a 90-day like subscription basically of microdose caps. So there
Mhm.
were a whole bunch of different ones. And
Mhm.
she had used 10 of them and then
Mhm.
had to move and she couldn't bring them across the border. So she offered them to me.
Okay.
Sure, why not? I've been curious. I would love to try it. And
Mhm.
yeah, game changer.
Right, because it's not a psychoactive effect where you get high.
Not at
That's not
all.
the
It's
point
100
of it.
milligrams. Like it's
Yeah.
really, really low. Usually to get high, you need at least 1,000 milligrams.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's like minuscule amounts.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's been a huge shift in just like my ability to process triggering situations
Okay.
is a lot better.
All right. So it sounds like it makes you more open and more in control to when you do feel things happening and anxiety. So would you say that the microdosing in of itself does make you feel safe and grounded, or the microdosing helps you
Uh,
find those tools easier and use
exactly.
them easier? Oh, okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And how would you define trauma in your own words?
Um, I think trauma is different for everyone.
Mhm.
In my case, it's events, relationships, and situations that have caused a lasting negative impact on my life. So it's like things that come back, like flashbacks or nightmares, or just really intense anxiety in those triggering moments. But yeah, I think that's probably the best way that I can describe that. Just like,
Mhm. And how long have you, like, not to go into details of what your specific trauma is, but how long would you say that you have carried the remnants of what trauma
most
did to you?
for sure, most of my life,
Mhm.
definitely starting as a kid, but the last what I'm gonna say 9 years now, it's been the worst by far.
Oh, okay. So as in like you've reached adulthood more so.
Yeah, so there were some events in my early 20s that definitely have
Right.
caused the most lasting impact.
Yeah. So how, and that actually brings me to the next question of how trauma has contributed to your suffering.
For sure. So I don't like to say that it's suffering because I think that that's very much um
Like a
almost
label.
like yeah, it's just, well, not even that. It's like it makes me feel like I'm a victim. And
Mm.
I don't like to think that I am.
Mhm.
Like there have been events in my past that are less than ideal, but I'm
Yeah.
also doing anything and everything I can to move past it. Sorry, I've got a cat poking my face. Yeah, so I've worked very hard to not have victim mentality,
Yeah.
because I don't think that's healthy. And I
Hmm.
don't think that that does anything to change my outlook.
Hmm.
So yeah, um, yeah, like I wouldn't say suffering, but
How has it altered your
it's,
life?
yeah, that's what I'm kind of trying to put into words. Relationships are really hard for me. Like romantic ones especially are difficult. My boyfriend now he has the patience of a saint and is like actively
Mm.
working through things for me. But just like reminding myself that it is okay to be loved and it is okay to be taken care of. And like I don't need to be doing everything for somebody else. And like my opinions matter too. So retraining myself that that is happy, healthy, and normal and totally okay, has probably been the biggest effect.
Right. So the role that you play in your relationship has been very affected.
Yes, for sure. And
Right.
just my ability to have a relationship, period. Like yeah, it's, we've been together for about 2 years now, just over 2 years.
Mhm.
But for several years before that, it was few and far between, because I would end up going after really toxic people because I thought that that's what, excuse you, cat. But yeah, it was just like that was kind of what I was drawn to, and I think that that was a lot of trauma bonding. So
Mm.
just learning that that is not the best way to proceed with my life.
Yeah, so when you say trauma bonding, do you mean this person you were drawn to other people with similar trauma?
Yeah, either similar trauma or different trauma, but just trauma in general.
Hmm.
Um, and it's like a mutual need that like together we can fix each other. And that's not usually the case.
That
um,
takes a lot of work, a lot of
it's been a
work.
lot of therapy, like I said.
Yeah. So do
Yeah.
you do when you mentioned the microdosing, actually I was curious. So do you mix the two or right now it's like did you learn tools in therapy that you now are using as your microdosing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for me in particular, like I'm clinically diagnosed with PTSD. So it's like in the moment, using those tools are very, very hard. I have coping mechanisms,
Mhm.
but if I'm in the midst of a panic attack, I'm not using those tools because I'm
In the middle
just
of a panic
trying,
attack.
yeah, like I'm just trying to exist. So that's been the big one. It's just like being like, okay, we have tools. They're in our toolbox. Let's use them.
Yeah.
And that I've noticed with the microdosing, I'm able to consciously be like, oh, we are about to have a panic attack. How do we fix this?
Would you like to tell me about some of your tools? What works for you?
Yeah, for sure. So 5 4 3 2 1 is the biggest one. Like
Hmm.
that one just helps to ground myself and like focus on something. Um, my
Is that when
personal
you
thing,
count backwards or when you like you see five
yeah,
things and you
you
hear,
see
oh,
five
okay,
things,
yeah, that one.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you see here, and then it just kind of engages your senses and distracts you.
Hmm.
Um, my other personal favorite one is the ice cube trick. And that's something that my therapist taught me, where like if you're about to have a panic attack, pop an ice cube into your mouth and it kind of shocks your system
Yeah.
into reality again. So
Hmm.
those are the two that I use most commonly. But it largely depends on where I am. Because
Oh,
sometimes you
ice cubes are not always
exactly.
available.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, in so somatic therapy is something both my practicum host at Evans and Co Counseling, but also that I've learned in school how the connection between mind and body. So how, like, for example, the ice cube engages your nervous system differently, and how we read threats with our nervous system is it's always on high alert, and that
Yeah.
also affects like our panic attacks, and it's just such a complicated system. So I'm really happy to hear that you found some, like, you found a therapist that really works for you,
Yeah.
but also all those small little tricks, like they don't have to be complicated. They're actually fairly simple. The hard
Totally.
part is remembering them in the moment.
Exactly. Or even recognizing that the moment is about to happen
Yeah.
is
Oh,
that
so
the other one that I've noticed. Like I'm getting
yeah.
better at identifying situations. I'm like, oh, this might not be a good one. I should probably not be here.
And so
So,
your preventative care right now, except for the microdosing, what do you do as preventative care?
so in my case, a lot of my like big triggering trauma revolves around a human. So I have some friends who nicely keep me posted if there are places or activities that this person is doing so that I can avoid.
Ah, gotcha.
Um,
Yeah.
but just little things like if I'm going to an event and I think this person might be there, um,
Mhm.
I have a pretty good support network. So like, everybody I'm going with knows the situation that we're walking into. We all know the risks. We all know what this person looks like. We know
Mhm.
how we're going to deal with it. And we come up with a safety plan before we even leave the house. So that if
Mhm.
it happens, all I have to say is go, and we all know what's going on. Like I
Oh,
don't need
that's
to say more
lovely.
words on that. So that has been really big for me
Yeah.
because I know that I can literally say the word go and
Yeah.
like we are immediately moving and like there's a plan in place. So that's been huge.
Yeah, I was just
And
gonna say, it sounds like the support network is also really contributing to
hugely
you being able to feel safe and grounded. Like that's a huge part of it.
for sure. And yeah, like there are a lot of people who know the full situation.
Mhm.
And yeah, we're just everybody is very supportive and very understanding and knows how difficult it can be for me. So yeah, we have good systems in place now.
There is a routine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So, how has, I'm gonna actually exchange the word suffering because that
Yeah.
actually isn't, yeah, I heard what you said. So, how has the uh, maybe I could say aftermath or the effects of trauma, how it's contributed to your personal awakening or evolution?
For sure. In a lot of ways, I feel like I lost about 5 years of my adulthood, um, and just like didn't experience it the way most other people experience their mid 20s.
Mhm.
Um, so it's been just like finding ways to do things that I wanted to do that I couldn't do. And being able to just like make things happen. And like now I very much like if I want to take the trip, I'm taking the trip. If I want to take the job, I'm taking the job. And it's a lot less asking for permission and a lot more just doing. So
Mm.
that's been the biggest thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to sacrifice moments and experiences for someone else because they don't
Yeah.
think like I'm my own person. I will make my own decisions. So kind of
Mhm.
realization has been, yeah, that's
A lot
probably,
more power and
yeah,
security in following your own intuition.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's
Also, like now, I have no problem cutting the cord with people.
that can be really hard. Even like I find it really hard to
Can
cut
be,
cords with people.
but it's also so liberating to be like,
Mhm.
hey, you're an asshole. Get out. Like, I'm done here. I don't need you. You do nothing positive for my life. This
Mm.
or this relationship is over. Like, we are done. We are moving on. Have a nice life. There is no animosity. I just don't want to be around you. um,
Right. So like the
and
capability of feeling confident in vetting, like this is not serving me and I'm okay
yeah,
with letting it go. I don't owe this person anything.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
that's been a big
owing yourself that.
exactly. Yeah.
That's super cool. So what words of wisdom would you like to offer to those that are stuck in similar situations to what you have been through in the past?
Sure. It's okay to ask for help is the biggest one. It's okay to take the medication. Like, as my doctor explained it to me, your brain is wired differently. Like, everybody's brain is wired differently.
Mhm.
And sometimes you can prescribe things like go get exercise, go get sunlight. And sometimes you just need to level the chemicals before that is even an option. Um,
Mm.
and that's kind of how I look at it. Like it might be short term, it might be long term, but there's nothing wrong with needing help, and there's no shame in taking medication to help balance the chemicals in your brain because sometimes you need them, and that's okay.
Yeah. And all the thousands of reasons to why the chemicals are messed up in the first place, like due to trauma and due to all
Yeah,
the chemicals around us in our daily
yeah.
basis. So yeah, no, I totally hear you. Well, thank you
Yes,
so much.
you're very welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to be posting this and hopefully it really resonates with some people, which I'm sure it will. So thank you so much, Carmana, for today.
You're very welcome.